death, and aliens. An in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm Courtney.
And I'm MK.
And how are ya?
Uh, you know, I'm trying to enjoy myself. I feel like
Good.
I spend a lot of time worrying about like to-do lists and things, which is never gonna go away. But like, I don't know if it's just like a teacher thing or an ADHD thing or what, but like I don't know how to exist without like things I have to get done.
Yeah,
And I'm
that's
trying.
ADHD.
And
Because I have that too.
I'm just trying to be like, no, like, I mean, obviously, I still have things to do, but like, I'm trying to like not feel guilty if I watch a couple episodes of TV or like go out to brunch with my friends or like do nothing. And so, like, last week I went to dinner at the Melting Pot with one of my friends,
Me too.
and so me too. And then I went to this local cute little brunch place that has really good crepes, and I had a Loganberry mimosa, which, if you don't know what Loganberry is, I will change your life when you come
Thanks.
here.
I've never had it. You've told me about it before, but I've never had
Yeah,
it.
yeah. The Loganberry mimosa was phenomenal. And then I also went out to dinner with two of my other friends, um, and just for like burgers and grapefruit palomas, and
Nice.
it was so nice. I've been like trying to, but I also think that means I've like had alcohol every day this week, which I guess is also a
No.
summer thing. Because
Yeah,
like I haven't been drunk a single day, but I've had a drink pretty
right.
much every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm at that summertime sadness, I guess.
I feel that. I feel that. Yeah, summer does make me sad. It's the heat and the sun. I don't
It
like any
doesn't
of
it,
that.
it doesn't actually make me sad, but like I also relate to Lana Del Rey on a spiritual level sometimes. So like,
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Don't we all?
how are you?
Um, I'm fine. I'm good. Yeah. Like I said in the last two episodes, I'm just back from Miami. I am not a Miami person. It is not for
Wow.
me. I knew it wasn't for me, but it's just reinforced every time I go back that it's not for me. However, I do try to make the best of a bad situation, which is being in Miami.
Hmm.
So we did a lot of like fun random things while we were there before and after the cruise, which was really
Yeah.
fun. So like as mentioned, we went to Melting Pot. And did you have the endless fondue forever or whatever?
No, ours didn't have that, but
Ugh.
we had Christmas in July.
Ooh, what's that?
It was just like a special like pre-fixed menu. So like you didn't, but like it was the normal like cheese salad main course
Mhm.
dessert, but like $44 a person. Like, and it was great. The biggest thing is my friend who I always go to the melting pot with has nut allergies, and I obviously can't eat like
Oh, yeah.
seeded
Seeds.
vegetables.
Mhm.
So we literally every time we go, we open the menu, okay, and we go, okay, which cheeses can you not eat? And so then we're like, okay, which ones are?
Can you have the Alpine one?
I can, but she can't.
Is she going to a melting pot with us?
No, when we go,
Okay,
no.
then we can have that one. That's the only like best. And then you can have cocoa vine. That's normal. There's something
Yes.
about with
But
seeds.
see,
And then
we did the cocoa vine this time, and I don't like it as much. We usually do the mojo.
really, see, I don't like the mojo. That's the one we've tried a
Interesting.
few times, and
Interesting.
it's a little too citrusy for me, I think.
Fair, fair. The cocoa vine was a little too herby.
I can see that. I can see that.
Yeah.
We'll find a happy medium. It's okay.
Yeah.
We don't have to fight about it today.
No, that's
Um,
okay. Plus there'll be three of us when we go, and then we'll have to like figure it out because there'll be three people.
right. So maybe we'll get two pots. Is
Yeah.
that how that works? We'll get
Yeah.
two.
Usually when there's three people, you
Okay.
get two pots. So I guess we don't have to all get the same thing.
Yeah. I guess we could bring like Dan too, like if he's around. Oh, it's Monday. He can't come.
No,
Um,
he'll be in Chautauqua rehearsal
right,
for a
right.
show that I
So
can't go to
it's
because
fine.
I'll be at work. Whatever.
Oh, good. How fun. Yeah, well, we did do the Forever Fondue, and
Oof.
since it's left New Orleans,
Oh,
um,
no. Sorry. Did they get rid of the dulce de leche chocolate dip at the one you went to?
I don't think so, but we never
Ugh.
really get that one because we always get either the yin yang or the s'mores is what we usually get.
See, I don't like white chocolate or marshmallows. I think they're both too sweet. The dulce de leche is
Mm.
my favorite, but they got rid of it at mine.
We have there's a turtle one that Rachel really likes.
See, I like the turtle, but again, Ruthie can't have pecans, so I never get the
Right.
turtle. But if you guys both like the turtle and I'm not with somebody who can't eat nuts, I'll be fine with the turtle.
Yeah, I mean I prefer the yin yang or the because I like white chocolate and I like marshmallows, but we're good at finding a happy medium.
Yeah.
I'll eat the turtle and I know Rachel really likes it. So but yeah, so I don't know, but I don't remember dulce de leche in general. So who's to say?
Yeah.
Who's to say? But yeah, so when we had it in New Orleans, it used to be for the land and sea, it was like steak, it was like plain steak, shrimp, chicken, and sausage. And yeah, but now I
I've
don't
never seen
know.
sausage.
So that's for the best. I like sausage and it's just not great in this combination.
No.
But in the one we went to, they had salmon instead of sausage and pepper crusted steak instead of plain steak. And it was
See,
top notch.
I got the plain chicken, the shrimp, and the teriyaki steak. But
I do like the
they made the
teriyaki.
teriyaki steak without sesame seeds for me.
Oh, that's nice. I always forget about that too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do like the teriyaki, but yeah, so we did it for the fondue, the endless fondue, and they just bring you as much meat as you want. We did not have very much extra because it's already a lot of food, but it's an
Yeah.
exciting concept, even if
Yes, I would
it's
say
not in
it's an
action.
exciting concept, but every time I go and they're like, anything that's on this plate, we can bring you more of. And they're like, do you want any refills? I'm like, there's still half a plate here.
Right. Yeah. We usually get extra mushrooms,
We always
but
get extra
then
pretzel bread.
we get yes, and pretzel bread. We get pretzel bread, mushrooms, and then for the meat, I got like 2 pieces of salmon and 2 pieces of steak extra. And like that was my endless
Yeah.
fondue. I was like,
Perfect.
but yeah, so we did melting pot and then you can't
We tried. They have a new they had a new extra special dessert thing where instead of your normal you get all your normal marshmallow,
Mhm.
brownie, Rice Krispie, fruit, blah blah blah.
Right.
But then they also had macarons and
Ooh,
caramel cheesecake.
didn't see those.
It was
Interesting.
so good.
I bet a caramel cheesecake would be good with the turtle too.
Mm-hmm. It was
So for sure.
Yeah.
Excellent.
We're gonna
I
have so
love
much
that.
fun. I'm gonna be so
Oh my
broke.
gosh.
So broke.
We're gonna
Should
be
not be going to melting
broke.
pot, but do not care.
Yeah. We're gonna be so broke. We're gonna be so full. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so we did melting pot and then the next morning, you can't see it quite as much in this light because my light's broken, it seems, but my hair is pink.
Yes.
And I did like the permanent dye this time, like the Garnier Fructis as opposed to like the overtone or whatever. Rachel did the overtone style. It was a different brand, but overtone essentially. And so that's been fun with my hair being pink.
Oh, I have a
It's
hair
been raining
appointment.
like crazy.
Oh, I have a hair appointment on Thursday, and I'm so excited because look at these
Oh, yeah,
fucking
look at
roots I
that.
need.
Yeah, you do. That's
Oh,
okay. That'll be fun. Yeah, and then our last day there, so that was we stayed one night before, then we flew out
yeah.
the same day our cruise landed. And so our last day we went to, like I said, went to lunch with my friends, and then we did 2 escape rooms because that's what we do now when we go to Miami for a cruise. And it's this place called Time Box that we really like, and it's like half an hour out of the city, so we have to pay like a stupid Uber to get there.
The mall that the melting pot is at here has an escape room.
So we're gonna do that too.
Yeah.
Excellent. Add that to the list. Hold on. I'll finish my story and then I'll ask questions.
Yeah.
Because if not, I will talk in circles.
Yeah.
So we did our escape room and we did one last year called Magical Things that was rip off Harry Potter. Like they had the houses and everything with just different names.
Right.
Super fun. We loved it. We thought it was really well done. So we're like, we'll go back. And then this year we just happened to be able to get back-to-back appointments. And one of them was Springfield. And it was based off The Simpsons, and everyone had like disappeared from the town. And so you had to like solve all the clues. It was really interesting the way they did it. Like you had to put like a crossword on the floor. Like it was
Okay.
very unique stuff. And then we did another one. I don't know why. I'm terrified of dolls, but I don't know why I've been wanting to do a doll. And so we did the doll room, which is the hardest one. So we didn't get out of that one, but as 2 people, we made it as far as most regular size groups of people. There is only a 20% escape rate. And we made it as far as the people that come in groups. Usually they said they were like, you flew through the second room. And so me and Rachel are kind of pros. It was very scary. And they have one part where like it opens like this underneath cabinet. You have to crawl in. And I was like, I'm not gonna get stuck in that. And Rachel did it. And I just leaned in. I was like, thanks for being brave. And then the guy, our game master at the end, he was like, I heard you say thanks for being brave. I was like, yeah, I really didn't. But it was very cool, very well done, and very creepy. Things fell obviously from like the walls,
Obviously.
and it was dark and creepy doll voices, and there was like a creepy doll song. Like it was pretty creepy, but it was amazing. And so I just love an escape room. So we always try to like get out of Miami when we're in Miami by doing non-Miami things. Um, so what rooms are in your escape room? What are our fun themes?
So I I'm looking at this thing. There are 4 or 3 themes. I've never been. I don't actually know if this is like a good
Have you never been to an
place.
escape room?
No,
Or
I've
you've
been
never
to
this
an
one?
escape room. I
Okay.
haven't been to this one. I don't actually know. It like is a place where they can also like do like birthday parties and stuff. So I'm like, don't even know
Mm-hmm.
what the actual like vibe is. But there are 3 themes. One is deep space,
Okay.
which
Fitting.
seems like it would be fitting, except for there's also one that's Egyptian tombs.
Also fitting.
Yeah, and then there's one that's called Drago's Castle that is like
Ooh.
medieval
I
medieval
like all
shit.
of those things you've said
Me
to me.
too.
So yeah. And if
So,
we do one of the ones that seems like it seemed to Stargate, do we have to write it off somehow?
oh yeah, I'll
Is
put
that a
it
thing we
on.
can do?
I'll put it on my business credit card. It's fine. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I have to look more into this place and like read reviews and everything because it seems like a legit, obviously, place and
Right.
like I've seen it at the mall, but also I'm like I don't even know.
What's it called?
It's called Five Wits.
Okay, so it's not like a chain one that I would have
No,
heard
it
of.
is a chain one, but
It is? Okay.
it's only got locations in New York State.
Okay.
Um, but it's like each attraction is a real life hands-on adventure story that places your team in the lead role. So like in my mind, that's an escape room. It's just not like a scary escape room, so they're not calling it an escape room. It's calling it a
Oh,
lot.
I haven't done a lot of scary ones. There's like the Springfield one wasn't scary. It was Simpsons
Yeah.
themed.
No, this one
So
is
like,
like
yeah.
it's called like live action immersive adventures instead of an escape room, but like that's the same thing.
Right. That sounds the same.
Yeah.
We were talking about like Universal does one year. Universal apparently they were telling us this at Time Box, but it's set up like an escape room, but it's story oriented. So it's not like you have to like if you don't get to a room by a certain time, they just open that door and you move on to the next phase. And so you don't
Uh,
have to find all of the clues to get out, which I think is a little less fun, but it's fine. Like, and so you get through the full story regardless of if you get out in time or not. Um,
yeah. Oh, I don't like that.
yeah, it's a little easier. So I don't know if it's something, it sounds like it might be something like that, but I can't be
Probably.
certain.
I don't know. There's another one that says that it exists, but then when I go to look at it and I look at the locations, there isn't one in Buffalo. So I don't really know
Oh, so they're liars.
how that works. Like
Hmm.
you literally just told me that you were in Buffalo and then I clicked on your website and you said no, not in Buffalo. So that's
Well,
weird. Anyway, I don't know. We'll figure it out. But oh, it's because it's closed forever.
oh, that'll do it. That'll do it. Yeah,
Closed
but yeah,
forever.
so that's how I'm doing. I love an escape from I love melting pot. So we'll just recreate our Miami trip, but in a better place. Um, so that'll be nice.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so while we're planning and plotting and living our lives, can you give me a little spiritual guidance?
Sure. I'm also going to look at this group order that my dad just sent me to order dinner on DoorDash.
Ooh, where are you ordering from?
A pizzeria. I don't know. I just got an
Ooh.
invitation to add something to this group order. So my piece of advice. You know how when you were little or you were a little kid and you believed in fairy tales, that fantasy of what your life would be, white dress, Prince Charming who'd carry you away to a castle on a hill. You'd lie in bed at night and close your eyes and you had complete and utter faith. Santa Claus, the Tooth Fairy, Prince Charming, they were so close. You could taste them. But eventually, you grow up. One day you open your eyes and the fairy tale disappears. Most people turn to the things and people they can trust. But the thing is, it's hard to let go of that fairy tale entirely because almost everyone still has that smallest bit of hope, of faith, that one day they'll open their eyes and it will all come true.
That is true and a little depressing at the same time.
Yep. But
But
again,
yeah,
that was an opening monologue, not a closing monologue. So,
right.
yeah.
So here's to next week. Um, be a good one. Well, this week we are talking about Hannibal season 2, episode 3. Nope, episode 2. I can't read my own handwriting. And it is called Sakazuki, which is the first course in a formal kaiseki dinner, a sampling of small appetizers whose ingredients, garnishes, and dishware sets the tone for the season and invites the gods to partake of the meal.
So, what you're saying is last season was French and this season is all Japanese.
Japanese. That is my understanding.
Great.
Um, yeah. So it aired March 7th, 2014. It was rated 9 out of 10, which is a little bit higher than last week. Number one song's the same, still Dark Horse. The number one movie is 300, Rise of an Empire. The number one book is Concealed in Death by J.D. Robb. One day I will read her books.
I have all of them. And by I have all of them, I mean my mom has all
Your
of them.
mom
She's
has all of
obsessed with
them. One day I'll read it. On this day, again, a lot of things have happened. Unfortunately, the first thing I have is that a statue of Izet is unearthed in Egypt. So we have once again unearthed a statue that was not supposed to be above ground.
Yeah, no, we should really stop doing that.
Yeah, it was a very unique one because apparently Aset is usually seen with her father, and this one was just her in the statue. So it was a unique statue as well. It is the opening day of the Winter Paralympics in Russia. Um, Massachusetts bans upskirting, and this is again 2014. And here's why: because the day before, the courts said that upskirting was not a part of voyeurism and therefore would not be prosecuting it. So now Massachusetts has the next day put a law in that says they will be prosecuting it whether or not it is part of voyeurism.
Upskirting, like literally looking up someone's skirt.
Like taking pictures up someone's skirt.
Great, cool. I somehow thought maybe you were talking about something completely different and that it was just a term I had never heard of.
Right.
No.
Yeah, no, it's you're familiar. You're familiar with the term.
Great.
What a good time. And if you recall, the Bitcoin eras of no one had said who created Bitcoin.
Oh yeah.
So this is the day that the article came out that said Nakamoto was the creator, and he came out with a hard statement, was like, I absolutely did not create this. Please stop talking about me. So just to say. But that is our day. It's a very exciting day. A lot of things happening. For better or for worse, a lot of things happening. Our director is once again Tim Hunter, so same from last week. And our writer is Jeff Vlaming with a V. He just recently in 2022 passed away from cancer. 2023, I'd have already forgotten, 22 or 23.
Okay.
But he is best known for being the co-executive producer of Hannibal, and Outcast and Reaper. And then he was a producer in 2003 on NCIS. So he's got a lot of like good credits behind him. I didn't find a lot of fun facts about him, but I did find that he was a writer on one episode of Stargate Universe. So he will come back around. And he was the supervising producer on 22 episodes of Fringe.
Yes.
So good times. And our editor is Michael Doherty, so we've talked about him a lot. Our guest star is Martin Donovan, who plays Jack's therapist. And he is just credited as Jack's therapist, so I guess he doesn't have a name. That's fine. He's known for Tenet Big Little Lies, Lioness, and Weeds. So Brian Fuller has just pulled in another of his
Yeah.
show people. He also plays a pretty big role in Nancy Drew, which is where I like mostly recognize him from.
Okay.
I also saw it's been oh god, my headphones. Okay, I'm back. I touched my microphone on accident. Um, so I saw him in Big Little Lies, but that was ages ago that I watched that.
Yeah.
The only fun fact I have about him is that he joined the Cucaracha Theater in 1993 on Greenwich Street. That's like off Broadway.
Okay.
So he's always had a little bit of a, but I didn't see anything like big he had done on Broadway. I think he just is in theater also. So that's that. So now let's start this episode. Whew, and get on this wild ride. So we start exactly where we left off. We have our friend Roland screaming and then escaping from the silo that he has been put in. And he had been sewed up. All of the bodies are sewed together. And so I will say I only half watched this scene because I couldn't do more than that.
It was
because you saw the
intense.
yeah, you saw the flesh coming off of his body as he pulled it.
I
apart.
didn't watch it. I literally just
Yeah.
listened to the screams and looked at my phone and hoped that I didn't look up at the wrong moment, because every time you did look up and he was like ripping himself off of another person, I thought I was going to throw up.
Yeah, it was pretty rough. It was pretty rough.
How is this on network TV?
Look, who knows? And this made it through, but not, what was it? What I told you, the butt crack didn't make it through. The angels.
Jesus, Mary and Joseph.
All right, NBC, you're killing it. So he rips his body apart and he breaks out. Which, like, yay, we're gonna make it. However, the guy who has sewed them all together gets out of his truck with a shotgun and starts chasing him. Now, this man is running very well for someone who has just ripped his entire body apart from other people. He tries to hide in a car, and then
To be fair, we learned some things about him later in the episode that I think give us a little bit more context for that. Because yes, no, that would be fucking awful. But A, adrenaline, and B, once you've already kicked fucking heroin, nothing hurts anymore.
Right. Like, he's probably that's the least of his worries. Is running because
drug withdrawal is
basically death without that.
Yeah, without the release of death.
Right, exactly. So he's running through the cars, then he's running through the cornfield, and then he thinks he's gotten away, and this guy finds him again. And then he keeps running, even though he's getting shot at, and he finds a cliff, and he decides to jump over it, but he hits his body on the way down, and when he hits the rocks at the bottom...
It was really sad because it like almost looked like he knew he probably couldn't make this jump, but it was either die jumping or die by the guy finding you, and he chose to jump. And it was kind of tragic.
It was very tragic. And to be fair, I probably would have done the same thing, because who's to say this guy's not going to just like maim you and then try to sew you up again. So yeah, we're not like, there are no good options. And he made the best one. So he immediately dies. All hope that we had in that beginning sequence is now lost. Because I was really hoping he was going to get away. That's how we were going to catch this guy. Alas. So then we go to the hospital, and Hannibal and Bloom have gone to visit Will, and he is kind of unraveling. He is talking about, like, he's like, I've lost the plot for my life. I am the unreliable narrator. Like, there's no way to know what I say is true. There's no way to know that, like, what I think is true. Like, I have no idea what's going on. And I looked down. So he's just like saying he's very confused. And Hannibal and Bloom are like, well, we're going to help you. Let us help you. And he's like, absolutely. I have to have your help. I need your help. I'm falling apart. And they're like, great, we're on board. And then we see him being placed in his cell, and his face completely shifts. And if Dr. Du Maurier was not correct before, Will is absolutely doing what he has to do to manipulate Hannibal
Oh yeah.
into
For
figuring it
for a
out.
second, I didn't think that that was what was going on, and I was like, "Will, it
Yeah.
took you all of 14 seconds
Right.
to cave."
You
I
cannot
was
stand very
not.
strong.
He was like, I know we're 5 minutes into the episode, but he was on my "I'm gonna punch you in the face" list
Yeah.
immediately, and then I was like,
Immediately.
"Oh, okay, okay, I
Yeah.
see you.
Oh, that's
We can, we
not
can,
actually what
we can
happened.
talk. We can talk. Okay."
Right. Bless his heart. So, yeah. So, Will and his, like, the look on his face was not as intense as I would have liked it to be. Like, you know
Mm-hmm.
how you get those, like, really scenes, like, you think of, like, Norman Bates scenes,
Yeah.
but it was still very effective. Like, I still got a little bit of a chill, even though it was a very, like, a much softer, intense face.
Yes.
Um, I just really like Hugh Dancy. Um, so
Me
then
too.
we get our credits. This season, like I know we had some long credits, we had some intense, or we had some intros that were intense last season, but this season, their like intros,
Oh
insane,
yeah. I
completely
have
off the
no idea what's
rails.
going on. I'm like, how it
Yeah,
what?
it's so wild. And then we get back to the credits, and we go to Dr. DeMarie and Hannibal, and she's gone to visit him, and she tells him that she's no longer his therapist. And he's like, "Oh, are you referring me out?" She's like, "Absolutely not. I am just leaving. I am
Yeah.
just stepping away. This is over." Um, she's like, "It's not
She's
good
like,
for
I can't
anyone."
stop thinking about what you said, and you're right. Like I don't know what you're capable of, and I'm not about to find out.
Right. And he's just like kind of being like, "No, that's not like I don't understand what's going on." And she's like, "No, absolutely." She's like, "You're dangerous. Please do not ever come to my house again. Like, I don't want to be in this situation."
I
And
was
then
so terrified in this episode. Or
yeah, I mean, and
this scene,
she
like this scene, I was so sure. I was like, oh no, she's going to
yeah.
die right now.
Well, and the thing is, like, Jillian looked so scared. Like, but I think, like, if she would have died right now, it would have been an unsatisfying, like,
Oh,
suspense because you have to let it
100%.
linger a bit more. I think she's in danger still.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, she played this scene really well because she seemed a little stronger throughout most of the seasons. And she just seemed like she
Well,
was kind of unraveling here
well,
too.
and it also seemed like she was strong as shit, but
Mhm.
he found that crack. Like it was like she was like, I'm
Yeah,
strong and I'm telling you to your face that I'm angry and that I don't care and that I am not afraid of you, but also like I'm a little bit terrified of you.
terrified. Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah, and of course he tries to immediately suck her in again and tell her that he's resuming therapy with Will. And she's like, "You think that's a good idea? Are you sure that's the next thing you're doing?" It's like, doesn't even matter. I have to leave. I can't be a part of this anymore.
Yeah.
Um, and she's like, "I'm not gonna, say anything out of pocket. I don't want to talk to the FBI. If they start questioning me, I'm just gonna tell them I don't want to talk to them. Like,
Yeah.
I prefer not to be involved, but I also just don't want to be involved in anything." Um, and then we go to the lab and they are examining Roland's body. And this is kind of where they're talking about like the heroin being in the body. And he was a drug addict at one point. He had been in like rehabs and such. And so his body had a little bit stronger of a resistance to
Yeah.
the heroin than the other bodies that just pretty much immediately died. Um, and so they're doing all this. And this is when Beverly brings up the color palette idea that she had heard from Will.
And
And
listen,
ever,
I'm obsessed with Beverly. Made that
yeah,
very she is my favorite character. And she tries so hard to be fucking nonchalant as shit. Like she just came up with it on the spot. And you can watch her looking for a moment to drop it in as if it's an organic idea. And she's so good that if she was talking to literally anyone else except for three
but the
other
FBI,
FBI
yeah,
fucking analysts, anybody would have believed her. But you've got Jack and Hannibal. The only person who would doubt you more than the two of them is Will. So like
right.
you're like, nice fucking try.
Yeah, yeah. They immediately, Hannibal was like, sounds like something Will would say. And then we go to a scene with Jack yelling at
And he's
her.
like, so you went to go talk to Will? And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. They both immediately fucking clocked her so hard.
Yeah, that was not as discreet as she thought it was going to be.
She tried. She tried.
Um, she did, but yeah. So Jack's going off about her going to see Will, and he's like, "I can't believe you did this. Why would you do this?" And she's like, "Because you wanted to, and you didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like somebody needed to do it because that's where we're getting our information. And if you don't want to do it, I'll do it. Like we have to do it this way." And then she also calls out Jack, and she's like, "You think he's still innocent? That's why this is like you think he's innocent of all this," which is
Yeah.
the first time we really see that like Jack breaking that a little bit because from the
Yeah.
beginning he seemed to you could tell he didn't want it to be true, but I think this is the first episode where he kind of started believing that it wasn't 100% true.
And I think that the
So
fact is that he probably always has, but he has to do his job and the evidence is all there.
yeah,
And every time he lets his personal feelings get in between him and a case, he fucks it up. So he's trying
mhm,
really hard to just not let the blaming himself for it
right,
change the black and white of it. And so he's trying to not have any emotional connection when
mhm,
Beverly's like, we all know it doesn't make sense. Like you don't
right,
want it.
yeah. So there's a little part of me after the scene that I was like, I know we're annoyed at Jack all the time, frustrated with him. But maybe Jack's the one that's going to turn this around. Like maybe because he's the only one other than
Yeah.
like that's
Well,
holding hope that he's
yeah.
innocent.
I mean, obviously, we saw the first scene of the first episode. Jack fucking tries to murder Hannibal and gets shanked in
Right.
the neck for it.
Right.
So, yes, somehow Jack is going to redeem himself this season. I don't know how. I don't
Yeah.
have a lot of faith in him, but somehow it's going to happen.
He's going to start believing Will at some point, even though he like says he's not. He's going to start believing even the stuff that like doesn't have proof behind it.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see that. But yeah, so then he starts telling her, um, he tells her, he's like, so you do whatever you think is best. We didn't have this conversation.
Yep.
And she's like, noted. I will become Will's bestie again. You got it.
Which is
Um,
funny because that's literally what he did with Miriam and then felt guilty about it. But I think Beverly can handle herself. I don't
I
think
think
Miriam.
so. And also it's with a different situation. Like Miriam was going out like into the wild and Beverly's in a controlled environment still. Like even if Will is
I
praised, like
agree. I agree. But I think that it's a very subtle foreshadowing connection. And
mm,
unfortunately, I think that Beverly will die this season because A, I like
mm.
her, and no one I like in a psychopath show ever lives. And
Yeah.
B, there's
Except the psychopath.
right. There's the subtle connections with the way Beverly's acting to Miriam and Will. And I think it's going to be that Beverly is going to fight for Will and find things out, and then she's going to get too close, and Hannibal's going to have to take care of the situation.
And
That's
maybe
my
that's the impetus that pushes Jack over because it's the third person that he's
yeah,
done wrong
I
with.
think that's my prediction. I
Okay.
didn't save it for the predictions, but it's because of the
Sure.
connection to that
Right,
that
right.
one line to me felt like way bigger than it seemed in this episode. And
Yeah.
so that's my big season prediction is that Beverly is
Okay.
going to be the one that like doesn't that like is the next one to figure something out. Because I wanted last season, I was so sure Alana was going to figure it out. I think Alana's stupid.
I That's exactly what I was about to say.
I think Alana is too dumb and too
She's
emotional, and she's
she's clouded
not.
judgment.
Her judgment isn't going to be clear. Beverly's going to
Mhm.
be the one who's on the path to making. She promised Will she would look for things. She's gonna look and she's gonna find
Mhm.
something, and it's gonna be what kills her.
Yeah, she's for sure gonna be the one that like knows next because there's no one else that because like while Jack has the thought that he's innocent, he's not proactively doing anything about it.
And he thinks that Will's innocent, but he doesn't for a second think that Hannibal could be a part of it.
Yeah,
Beverly is not emotionally connected to a single fucking one of these people. Like,
yeah.
obviously, she respects Jack and she cares about Will, but if but you saw how quick she flipped on Will when the evidence
Yeah,
said that
but
Will
she'll
did
do
it.
her job.
She is about the science, she is about the
Hmm.
justice, and she's not about to let her relationship with anybody get in her way. As soon as Will started to cross that line of being problematic, she shut him off.
Yep,
And
yep,
I think that she's the only one smart enough and cold enough to figure it out.
right. I agree. Um, yeah, I think you're right. I hope she doesn't die this season, but I don't think you're wrong in guessing that she
I know. I don't want
might.
to be right, but I think I
Yeah,
am.
yeah. Um, yeah. So then we go back to Hannibal, who is smelling the dead body, and we see him transition to your face to the cornfield and
Yeah.
like see kind of where the situation
For
is.
those of you in audio only, you did not see, but my feelings about Hannibal sniffing a dead body to smell a cornfield just we have discussed plenty how great Hannibal's senses are. And they
Hmm.
talk about it in the movies and they talked about it in the show, and he can smell cancer and blah, 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 and whatever. And that is a little dumb. It's a little too superhero-y for me. Whatever. Have that be true. Don't show me a grown man sniffing a dead body. That's fucking weird.
Oh, it is weird. It is weird. But that feels like a shorter stretch to smelling a cornfield on a dead body as opposed to smelling cancer in a person's body as a
I
person.
mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah. But I agree. It was very I had to like back up that scene because I was like, why was that scene here? Because I didn't pay close enough attention to realize he was actually smelling him. I thought he was just looking at him, and then we jumped to the cornfield. And I mean we had that beautiful visual of the like leaves and
Corn
cornfield coming
growing
out
up
of
out of
him.
him. It was a
Right.
great visual. It was just also dumb.
Yeah, I just couldn't figure out the connection until I realized he was sniffing him. But yeah, so then Hannibal goes to see Will, and he is talking to him, and he says that, he's not supposed to cross over the line, and he doesn't know why. And Will says, because the patients have started peeing on their therapists. And Hannibal's like, well, this feels like more of a challenge. If you put a line, wouldn't they be aiming more than they would normally? Which is a very fair, like,
Yeah, he's like, you give somebody a line that they can't pee past, it becomes a pissing contest. Like,
exactly. Yeah, so then Will starts mentioning the memories, and he's like, I think it's starting to like come back to me. So like I might have some memories that come back out. I think this is a really good test to do. And Hannibal immediately just starts discounting anything he's saying. He's like, oh no, 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 no. You can't trust any memories that have ever come back. Like, there's no way. Absolutely not. Um,
it's like
and
you.
then he and then they start talking about Beverly because she came to see him. And this is when Will says that the what's happening right now with the humans is a human mural that he's creating based on this color palette situation. Um, and then and then this is when we talk to Bev and Will, and she starts talking about to keep looking because she wants him to read more of
Oh,
it.
sorry.
Yeah, I did it
I forgot that
preemptively. My bad.
no, I forgot that there was two scenes with just Will and Beverly. I knew
Yeah,
about the scene with Will and Beverly, and then I knew the scene at the end where Beverly and Hannibal are together, but I forgot that there was a second just Beverly scene.
yeah. I couldn't remember if it was this one or the last one, and I talked about it earlier. But yeah, so he immediately tells Beverly, he's like, I'm not meant to dwell on the morbid. That's what Hannibal tells me. And she's like, okay, but I think you're fine. Like, let's just do this anyways. And then he just starts like hating on Chilton. And it's so funny how much he hates Chilton.
Yeah.
Like, it just cracks me up. We ignore the evidence. Oh, and then she starts asking him about like Roland, and he does the entire proper analysis from how it like start to finish of what happened. And um we haven't seen the rewind this season, but this was essentially that, but in
Yeah,
story form.
the visual of the rewind wasn't there, but also it was he isn't at the
Because he's
crime
in there,
scene.
right? Right. So we just get it in story form. Um And so then we go back to Hannibal, and he has gone to visit the silos that the bodies are in. And he's looking over the top, and he finds the mural. And as he's looking at the mural, the killer waltzes in the door. And I'm like, did you not see a vehicle you didn't recognize? Or like no sense that someone's around you, I guess? Okay, cool. And he just looks down, he says, hello, I love your work. It's like, Jesus
That's
Christ.
fucking creep.
I know. And then so then the FBI is out there. We would jump over the FBI being there. Um and they're
And
just
Hannibal shows up like he hasn't fucking been there before. He's like, "How did you find
right.
this place, bitch?"
Yeah. And so they're talking about everything. And then we go to Jack and his therapist. And he tells his therapist how he's starting to have a hard time separating like Will, like, or separating the Will and the killer, because he's like, I still, care about Will, and I still want him to be innocent. I still want all these things, but there's so much proof that he's a killer that I have to stop making him seem more innocent than he is,
Yeah.
or it's gonna, And he was like, and I felt him, and I'm failing now at like regulating these emotions about him, um, and so you can see all of the conflictions coming about in his mind.
Yeah.
And so then we go back to the lab, and they have a new body, and the leg is missing from it. Turns out because Hannibal took it.
Well, yeah. So, well, the reason they're looking at that body in particular is
Mhm.
because they have all these bodies. Like they found
Right.
obviously every body that's in there, but this body in particular is in the wrong spot for the
Yeah.
color wheel, and it's missing limbs, which none of the other bodies have. So they're like,
Right.
something is weird.
Yeah. And so they start talking about like how is this coming about, and they're like, the killer is having an existential crisis, which is why he's created this whole image of what's happening. And we flip back and forth between the lab and Hannibal and whatnot for a while.
And also
Um,
this was the first scene where like they've showed us like Hannibal cutting meat before, but this was the
mhm.
first scene where they showed us Hannibal like actually physically like chopping
Dismantling the
human
body.
body
Yeah.
parts up, and I did not care for it.
Yeah, it was not great. Um But yeah, so then we go to Demorier, who's speaking with Jack, and she walks up to like tell him, she's like, I can't give you anything new. Like I've given you absolutely everything I can. So I think this is the end of our questioning. We don't have anything more to say to each other.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, what about like
Future
future
conversations.
issues?
She's like, there will be no more conversations because I will not be seeing Hannibal anymore.
Yeah. And that's when she starts talking about them both having dangerous patients. And she's like, it's too much and I have to protect myself right now. And this is when she also tells Jack that she's like, even if you have these questions, I can't stop you from calling me and I can't stop you from asking me things, but I would prefer if you would just leave me out of it if
Yeah.
possible. Um, and we go to Will. And so now Beverly and Hannibal have brought him more things to look at. And as he's looking through them, he is singing one of these things. He's quoting one of these things is
Things
not
is
like
not
the
like the
others.
other. Yeah.
Yep. And he starts looking into it more, and he's like, "Oh, the killer was so into his mural. This is why we have this person that doesn't fit. It's,
It is.
someone has stopped him."
Yeah.
And Hannibal's like, "Oh, he's working with someone." And Will's just like, that doesn't seem quite right. Um,
Yeah.
and then we flash over to Hannibal and we see him finishing the mural. And he does the whole process of the heroin and then sewing him in. And like, he's like, we'll finish this together. Like,
He's like talking
I'll
to
finish
him
it for
about
you.
like what do you see when you look at the sky? What do you think about
Hmm.
God? And he says, God must not hate killing because he does it all the time.
Yeah. And so it's just a little creepy of a scene. We're seeing more of Hannibal's worst
Creepy.
side.
Yeah, more of Hannibal's creepy is coming out.
Yeah. And so after that, we go back to Will, who is in his cell, and Katie Perel has come to visit him. And she basically tells him she's always thought he was already a murderer. Like, there is no saving grace. He's going to immediately get the death penalty. He should just confess. As soon as he confesses, she will make sure that, he lives as comfortably as he can for the rest of his life in this mental hospital. But he has to confess because he for sure did it. And she's like, no one's going to save your life. And he's like, I guess I'll have to save my own life then.
Yeah.
And we go back to his memory palace of him with the fishing, but this time there's dead bodies floating by him in the river, which is a interesting visual. Um, and then when we come back from his brain, Jillian has gone to see Will. And even though the guards are telling her to step away, she's getting closer and closer. And she leans in and she says, I believe you. And we have one more scene where Hannibal has gone in his murder suit to clearly kill Dr. Du Maurier. And all of her furniture is draped and covered, showing that she has dipped.
She's done. I bet you she had packed up her house and moved out before she went to see Hannibal.
Yeah, for sure.
It was like she made the farewell tour. She went to tell Hannibal to leave her alone. She went to tell Jack to leave her alone. She went to tell Will she was on his side, and then she's fucking gone.
And then she's out of there because she knew what was coming next. So yeah, so do you have any thoughts, feelings, predictions that were not discussed?
Also, first of all, her name's Bedelia, not Monica. I don't know where I got Monica from. Just
because that's okay.
Well, because I was looking it up because I was interested. I was correct. Okay. I was interested in because she's not a character from the books. She's a character that Brian Fuller came up with. But one of my favorite authors of all time is Daphne du Maurier, who wrote Rebecca. And we've talked about Rebecca. Also, she wrote The Birds. And Hitchcock.
Like Hitchcock's The Birds?
Yeah, she wrote the book. She wrote the book that's based off of, and Hitchcock actually made the original Rebecca also. So
I did know that.
So that is an homage to Hitchcock. And I was just looking it up, and so I looked up Dr. Du Maurier to look up if she was named after Daphne du Maurier. And she is, but in it said Belinda. And I was like, somehow I heard Monica. Don't know how that happened.
It happens.
But yes. No, I think that I wonder, it's more of a wonder than I think. I wonder if what not being able to clean up, quote unquote, the mess with Dr. Du Maurier is going to do to Hannibal's mental state.
Yeah, that's a good one because I
wonder... nobody else is a loose end. Gideon is gone. Abigail is gone. The patient who knew too much and his boyfriend gone. Miriam gone. He doesn't leave loose ends.
Right.
And so she knows too much and he didn't get to clean it up. And so I wonder what that will do. Yeah. Because especially if, and granted, we all know the movie we watched 2 weeks ago or whatever is the worst movie I've ever seen. No. Exorcist Believer is worse.
Yeah, that was worse.
It was worse. Hannibal Rising, not good. But if you take anything about Hannibal's character from that movie, obviously he doesn't exactly give up.
Right. Yeah, I think he's going to probably end up tracking her. I don't think this is the last we see of her. I do not think she will live much longer. But I think she will say something first, though.
Yeah. I think that tracking her and having to take the time to find her when she's smarter than him in some ways is going to cause loose ends that he is not going to be able to clean up as fast. And I think that's going to be part of what happens, how Beverly and Will find things out.
Yeah, I think so, too, because I think... I mean, obviously she knows enough to have figured out that like his next step was to come after her.
Yeah.
And so she did. And I think that because he does also know a lot about her too, whether she intended for him to or not. I do think he's going to find her at some point. However, I think she is going to, whether it's because he's created loose ends because his mental state is declining, or whether she was able to set up a trail for them to follow to figure more out before, because I feel like she's gonna have another piece, especially when she ends on I believe you. She's gonna have another piece, and whether it's his own undoing because of her, or if it's something she's laid out that he's not able to get a hold of because he can't be in two places at once, basically. I do think that's gonna be a big part of it. Also, I I don't know. I feel like something's gonna have to happen with Chilton. I don't know what it's gonna be, but like we can't just keep having him being like, no one's talking to me. I don't know. I don't know. He's not gonna talk to me.
Well,
Um,
I because I can't ever figure out how to use Amazon correctly, the blurbs always pop up, and I do
mhm.
know not spoilery. I mean, it is spoilery a little bit, but I do know the next episode is the trial starting. So
Okay.
I'm sure that Dr. Chilton's involvement will be increased once we're in court, and he's supposed to be,
Yeah.
because Hannibal is going to be a character witness. Hannibal was never
Right.
officially Will's psychiatrist, and so he can't take that role, whereas Chilton can. So I think it'll be interesting to
Yeah.
see that how that plays out.
Yeah. That will be really interesting. I don't know. It's gonna be something. I don't think he's gonna live forever. I know they've almost killed him a couple times. I just truly don't think he'll make it to the end.
I mean, honestly,
Um,
I almost think he will just because he keeps almost dying and not, or being like the
mhm.
person that should die next and then doesn't. So like
Yeah,
he might be like the Carl of The Walking Dead, where like how is he still alive?
that's true. That's fair. Yeah, I don't know. And I'm wondering, like, they talked about a little bit in the episode, that like you got a doctor to give you a false diagnosis for your mental state. And I wonder if it's gonna come out that he has encephalitis at any point, or if they're just gonna basically bury all the doctor records because
Because they think
they're pretending like they're not
they
true.
take, yeah.
Yeah. So,
But also like Will didn't even know that that was what he was
right,
diagnosed with.
right. Um, so I'm interested to see how that comes out too. But yeah, so I think that's all for predictions that I have. Who do you want to punch in the face?
I feel like it would be cheating to do Hannibal twice in a row. But I can't get over him sniffing the corn out of the guy's body.
You know,
And so I'm gonna have to go with Hannibal.
that's totally fair. I am gonna go with Katie Perel because
Because she's a bitch.
she needs to be punched in the face. She is trying to um go out of line instead of investigating people that need to be
Yeah.
investigated. She is telling Will he's guilty and he's basically gonna die if he doesn't just agree to do whatever she wants. So just not a huge fan. Not a huge
Yeah, no.
fan. So who's your MVP?
Belinda.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure she is.
yeah. She coming to risk her life to check on Will and let him know that he's not alone. And also like standing up to Hannibal like a fucking badass.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't really have I feel like I'm saying Beverly, but I'm saying it basically for the same reason you said last week. But
Yeah.
it's still true. She still came in and did similar things and
Yeah.
did well. And I would have also picked Mario at first, but since you did, I'm gonna go with
Well,
Beverly.
and the thing is, if you had gone first and picked Maria, I would have picked Beverly anyway. So like
Right.
it really doesn't matter.
Yeah, those are the two options. I mean, those are the two you have. But yeah, so that is our episode. If you have any thoughts, feelings, concerns, etc., email us deathandaliens@gmail.com. You can find us on all of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And you can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
We'll get this right one day. We'll see
Someday.
ya.
Bye.